Today's episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. What interferes with your happiness? What are some things standing in the way of being the best version of you? For a lot of people, life, your past, and sometimes your current situation can cause roadblocks in your life. Mental health is incredibly important, and so many, including myself, can benefit from talking to a professional and working to dismantle those roadblocks. That's why I'm excited to talk to you guys about BetterHelp. BetterHelp knows no two people are the same and will help to assess your personal needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. These incredibly convenient appointments are in a safe and completely private online environment, and you can start chatting with your new therapist in under 24 hours. It's not self-help, it's professional counseling. You can message with your counselor at any time and get a timely response, plus schedule weekly video or phone sessions, which means no driving to an office, no waiting rooms, and no awkward small talk. Just meaningful sessions with experts who specialize in things like depression, stress, anxiety, relationships, trauma, family conflict, LGBTQ matters, grief, and so much more. There is truly someone there for everyone. And BetterHelp is committed to finding your perfect match. Which means if you and your counselor don't mesh for whatever reason, they make it easy and free to seek someone new if needed. BetterHelp is more affordable than traditional offline counseling, and with financial aid available and access worldwide, they truly make it easy for anyone to seek the help they need. As a listener, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting our sponsor at betterhelp.com/morningcup. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health.
There were two more murders 15 miles away.
When police arrived, they found the telephones and electricity lines.
We have a weird homicide.
The scene described by one investigator is reminiscent of a weird
Cup of murder. I'd probably be lying if I said I never thought about what it would be like to be famous. Most of you can say the same thing. We all, at some point, have probably dreamed of having our name synonymous with something unique and great, something that would ensure we were always remembered. On March 23rd, 1924, a man was born whose name would go down in history as the only convict sent to death row not once, but twice for 2 different crimes. So if you like your coffee hot but your bones chilled, sit back and start your day with a morning cup of murder. Joseph Mad Dog Taborsky, born March 23, 1924, decided to celebrate his 25th birthday a little differently than most of us would choose. He took his younger brother, Albert, to a West Hartford liquor store with plans to rob it, and Albert waited in the car while Joseph leveled a gun at the owner, a man named Louis Wolfson, and shot him in the face. The case for about 10 months went without any viable leads, and was heading into the realm of cold case when Connecticut police got a call from an interesting source, placing all of the blame on a Joseph Taborsky. The call came from Joseph's mother, who said that Albert Taborsky had something to tell them. The brother, who gave police his first-hand account of the crime that led to his brother's arrest, stated that, while he drove the car that night for his brother's robbery spree, it was Joseph who fired the fatal shot and gave Albert his share of the profits, which was only $32. Joseph and Albert were, of course, arrested for the robbery, and on June 7, 1951, Albert, who testified against his brother, was sentenced to life in prison, while Joseph was sent to die in the electric chair. While Joseph waited in prison for his execution date, a breakdown sent Albert to a mental health facility. When Joseph heard this, he contacted his lawyers, who fought for a new trial and began appealing the case. With their star witness away at a facility and considered unstable, the courts decided that his confession was not sufficient enough to convict Joseph. And with no other witnesses to the crime, Joseph could not be charged again. So after 52 months on death row, Joseph Taborsky became one of the very few men to walk away from the death penalty a free man, promising he wouldn't get as much as a parking ticket with his new lease on life. A promise that, within a year of his release, would be broken. On December 15, 1956, Joseph Taborsky, along with an accomplice and fellow felon, Arthur Meatball Colomb, committed the first of what would be dubbed the Mad Dog Killings, when he shot a Hartford tailor in the head and neck, who thankfully survived, before killing an attendant, Edward Kopusky, and his customer, Daniel Janowski, at a gas station in New Britain, sparing Daniel's 14-month-old daughter, who was not found until the next morning. Just 11 days later, he shot and killed Sam Cohn, a liquor store owner, and, on January 5, 1957, walked into an East Hartford shoe store asking for a pair of size 12 shoes before pistol whipping the store owner and shooting customers Bernard and Ruth Spire in the head. And a month later, Jack Rosenthal, a pharmacist, was found shot to death in his drugstore. As the murders began to accelerate, Hartford business owners worried as each day passed that their store would be the next target. In one instance, at a local grocery store, a 3-year-old girl was running around the store while Joseph beat her grandparents unconscious. And in others, shot and beat his victims, but left them barely alive. With very little to go on, police concentrated on the detail about the size 12 shoes. They checked the records of ex-cons in the area and narrowed the list down to Joseph Taborsky, who, at first, denied any involvement in the Mad Dog killings before eventually breaking down and confessing to not just them, but the murder of Louis Wolfson in 1950. Arthur Colomb, due in part to his cooperation and low IQ, was charged with 8 holdups and 6 murders and given a life sentence. Joseph Taborsky, on the other hand, became the only convict sent to death row twice for 2 different crimes on June 27, 1957. On May 17, 1960, at the age of just 36 years old, Joseph was put in Old Sparky and executed by the state of Connecticut, where his name was placed in the history books yet again as the last execution in Connecticut until 2005. His body was donated to the Yale School of Medicine, and his ashes were later buried in the gardens of a church. Thank you for joining me in my morning cup of murder. Please join me again tomorrow to hear what terrible thing happened on March 24th. Don't forget to rate and subscribe and let me know how you like it. And remember, stay safe.